Good YouTube. I want to talk about the UFC in a relationship with Reebok and how they treat their fighters. The reason I want to talk about this is because I've been very vocal on certain social media sites about how the UFC's treatment towards fighters as far as pay is unfucking fair because following when I became a fight fan in 2008, you never really heard fighters complaining about pay. Now it's to the point where everybody wants a money fight. Everybody wants to be Conor McGregor because they want that big payday. And basically, the UFC is making everybody claw and scratch for a motherfucking payday or to have a good fight night, and putting themselves in motherfucking danger, all because they're not really getting paid. And now it's to the point where big fighters, great fighters at that, are jumping ship because they want to get treated with respect and they want to get paid more. Now, since the Reebok deal, you have fighters like John Jones, Anderson Silva, and Junior Dos Santos who had deals with Nike, which in my opinion is a way better deal than you can have with Reebok. And on top of that, they were getting paid big money. Now imagine a guy like Conor McGregor, who's the biggest thing in the sport, and he's free to the market to have any kind of sponsors. Conor will probably if he doesn't make 100 million, he'll probably make basically close to. Now also Nate Diaz, who is looked at as a money fighter now, is a big time fighter. He's just coming off a big win against Anthony Pettis, and to me was one of his best performances I ever seen. Now imagine a person like that being free to the market and having whatever sponsors that he wants. Now he's another fighter that could easily make close to $100 million a fight, but he's probably barely making a mil just off of one fight. Now I'm just tired of seeing fighters being treated unfairly as far as payment because Dana has been turned into a real douchebag. Like I remember when Gus and John fought for the second time, they had to move the whole event from Las Vegas to California because John couldn't get sanctioned because of the drug tests. And when one of the reporters asked him about the people who spent their money and talking about taxes or some shit, I forget how it went, but Dana's response was to like, well, who's gonna pay my taxes? And I'm just thinking like, damn, bro, like these people work they work their hard jobs, take their shit from their bosses. They spend their hard-earned money just for their event to basically get canceled. They're not getting refunded their fucking money. On top of that, you're trying to give them their fucking their tickets to the new event. So basically, you have to spend the same money twice. And he was just such a fucking dick to the point where I was just like, I can't believe like I want to be like this guy because like when I came up, Dana White was just so honest and he was just so a straight up person. To the point where I was like, man, like he's like the man's man and he's running this company. It's like everybody loves him. But now it's just like the total opposite where I'm just like, bro, this dude is the fucking worst, man. Like, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Like, I wouldn't dare work for a guy like that. Like, and not to mention, he bashes his fighters. And these are some of the best fighters. Like, you single-handedly, like, even though he was traded, he drove Demetrius Johnson out of the UFC, and Demetrius Johnson was hands down the pound for pound best fighter in the world, and the UFC never acknowledged him of that. He barely got any publicity, if any, and he was just treated like shit despite him being the pound for pound best fighter in the fucking world. I don't give a fuck how you feel about the flyweight division. Demetrius Johnson was what he was, and he still is a great fucking fighter. And another one is Chris Cyborg, who I've been very vocal about. Like I said, Dana White is a motherfucking man. You should not be, whether you like her or not, you should not call Chris Cyborg motherfucking Wanderlei Silva and Hills, especially if Chris Cyborg can beat your fucking ass. So with that being said, Dana fucking White, shut your fucking mouth. Now back to the Reebok. I got off topic, my bad. Anyway, my thing is this. The UFC needs to stop being such an entertainment-based culture and just basically go back to its roots to let fighters fight. You know what I mean? The judging system is already fucked up to the point where everybody who squares Yoel won. I had to fight as a draw, but one thing I did hate was Yoel's performance because Yoel knows he's a finisher, and that fight definitely could have been better. But I feel as though the rules needs to be changed. The UFC needs to go back to its old format, the old gladiator format, because I felt like it was more hard hitting, it was more in your face. It just didn't have the following it does now. But I feel like now that it has the following, I think it's time to really introduce people to a new version of fighting, because I feel like with boxing had in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, MMA has that following too. But when you got shitty promoters running the fucking game, it only hurts the sport. It hurts everybody besides the fucking promoters, because they're making all this fucking money, and you don't get punched in your fucking face. You don't get your arm and twisted back. You don't get your legs broken. You sit down and you watch fights just like a fucking fan does. But for some reason, you're taking all the fucking bread and butter. And I found that fucking unfair, especially as a person who wants to get into the fucking business. But anyway, man, I'm out. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you comment on what you think. Peace.